incredibly intense day yesterday. I think we spent 12 hours in this room, listening and learning and talking and talking and listening and learning. And it was the utmost privilege to be spending it with our delegation from the Pacific, from 4 different regions of the Pacific, and all that knowledge that was shared with us sort of kept me awake last night. And I'm sure many people felt like this, but they're all back. So incredibly amazing. So thank you for yesterday. Thank you also, dear audience. And we only get a sense of who's here, but people flew in last minute from the States. They came by, from Vienna. They came from Marseille in France, just finding out about this. And gathered here because they had a sense of what's happening in this space. So that's how it feels, right? And that's not our work, that's your work. And I just want to leave and let you do your work. So I'll hand over to Laura, who's doing the introductions for today. Thank you.
Also, a warm welcome back from me. Our first panel for today is gonna be dedicated to Polowat and Saipan. And I have the very great privilege to introduce Mario Benito, who is a renowned and highly respected master navigator and vessel builder. He is also a community leader and a teacher of the Youth for 500 ZAES programs in Saipan whenever it is possible for him. Mario Benito's home island is Polowat, and he is a member of the Humboldt clan, and it is in its canoe house, Ut Wenimai. Benito was educated in the Voyages School of Navigation, and as a child studied under some of the most famous and revered old-time navigators from Polowat, including Hipur and Manipai Onope. And as an adult, Benito studied with the late Tio Onope and Rainam Edward. A long-time cameraman, photographer, and archivist of Polowat images, Benito was the lead photographer of the documentary Sacred Vessels, Navigating Tradition and Identity in Micronesia from 1997. And he shot for many visiting documentary teams over the past 2 decades. Mario serves as an informal ambassador of Polowat seafarers in Saipan. He's also served as one of the coordinators and translators in the building of the Leon Polowat in 2012. It sailed to Guam, and its final resting place is at the Oceanic Culture Museum in Okinawa in 2013. In 2016, the PER conference, which names navigators as masters, took place at Paseo in Guam, where navigators were staying for the Festival of Pacific Arts. Benito was one of 5 ordained by Grand Master Navigator Rainam Edward Polowat, of Polowat, excuse me. We are incredibly privileged to have you here today, Mario, so thank you for coming. And with Mario today, we will hear also from Benito, his son, who is learning from the same traditions. Here in Berlin, we got to know you, Lolo, as someone who embraces challenges, and most importantly, we got to know you as a future leader when you not only led us through the collections in the museum in Dahlem, but also yesterday, I think that became very clear. Lolobeyong means the lucky one, and his name is derived after a particular chant that his father would use before entering into any gathering. The chant was meant to imbue love and peace among the members, opening their hearts and minds, even those in the group who did not know who he was yet. Born and raised on Saipan in the Northern Mariana Islands, Lolo is the only son of master navigator Mario Benito and his mother Rose Benito. Together with his parents, he has been raised to love both the ocean and the land and to explore the bounties of what both life on the ocean and on land can bring. Throughout his childhood, Lolo has watched his father teach and discuss traditional navigation, as well as carve paddles and canoes. When he turned 15, he learned how to sail, how to tie the lashings on a canoe, and how to use the natural elements to his advantage. Lolo has a love for adventure and a thirst for traditional knowledge, and his goal is to ensure that his ancestors and his father's legacy is shared with the rest of Micronesia, to remind others of where they come from, and that these shared collectives of sailing and maritime traditions will unite all Pacific Island peoples together. And now I want you to join me in welcoming both Mari and Lolo to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Laura, for the good introduction. I'm going to continue to introduce myself. It's very fancy the way, like you say those things about me. Thank you very much. I'm from Poloat, where Laura said. Poloat is one of the very small island in the Pacific. A beautiful island, beautiful than Cetrix Island. That's why I say this, because he's not here. Have a day and below. As I stand before you to talk about how aspect of our culture pay homage to environment, where I grew up in Poloat, a traditional canoe have been a means of sustainable transportation to bring food back to our families. It's very, very important for us to have canoes. To do this, we had to understand our water. To understand our water, we need to have a way of transport across it. In building our canoes, we discover routes, uncover patterns, and turns for committed them to memories and adapted when needed. Much of this observation and love for the water had led us to use what available resources we had to build our canoes and continue with our way of life. Climate change driven by fossil fuel burning has emerged as the greatest threat to life on our planet. Before we have even hear about the technical terms of the word climate change, we know that it was important to conserve our natural resources. And I hope that as you listen to us, to what we have to say and see what we show you since, like yesterday and today, that our vision inspire us to invest in our land and water. Come out to the Mariana Islands and see what we are working toward without the reliance of gasoline or diesel. We knowingly already had a small carbon footprint, and we know how important it was to manage our resources efficiently. We have a number of canoe builders in each clan, some of the more notable masterful, including Teo, Onopi, Manny Sagao, and Grandmaster Rapui Aluay. When it comes to time to build our canoes, we wait until a tree is deemed ready before we decided to cut it down and haul it back to our canoe house so that its member can take parts in building our canoes. All of the parts of the canoes is made locally and made from the same tree. Even the rope, it's make and sell months in advance to cure it before it is rendered usable. Even as we fell a tree, when we cut down a tree, there are a sacred ritual that we say it before we cut it down. Regardless to the modern ears, if they deem them true or not, well, no one can deny that there is an element or respect for the earth and its resources, or the gratitude of felt to have what we have. In the way that we raise our kids, they are taught early to observe the natural elements and clean water and wind prediction, so as to be able to navigate the canoes through any type of water. As a clan member, we all take parts in educating our children to understand the difference role each person plays in our community, and how this practice honor the earth, teach us to guide ourselves in the absence of modern instrument so that we are never lost, as well as teach us how to sustainable products the biodiversity of our ocean and the climates. What we have to share is collection of stories that we hope will perpetuate what our ancestors have taught us. And by working together, we can bring back a natural balance to our global scale. And before I'm gonna give it to my son, I'm gonna show some of the video. Do I have to play it by myself, or no? Which one? The green one? Hold on. Can you just lower down the music a little bit? Okay, that's good. That's a master navigator or carver Deo Onopi, and he's a master navigator too. And that's how like we do it. We use the tree that we call it breadfruit, May. And now everybody's waiting for their parts to help out. What we use to work on our canoe is power handmade or man-made tools. We don't use electric tools like chainsaw, or it's just because like we don't want it, but we don't have it. We and we need your help. Imagine it's going to be more easier, like if we, like have something like chainsaw and electric plane. Even the American guy, like he come and help us. It takes the whole family, and this is Manny Sakal. He's one of the master carver. And this project is come from this lady It's a Japan project. It's funded by the Japan government. That's the canoe that we bring it to a museum in Okinawa. You have to have muscle to like to work on this kind of thing. And look what we have. How do I pause this to mark that it's oh, what? Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. What's it again? Okay. Play it next. Oh, one more. Aw. Okay, in the lagoon, see those kids? It's like in the lagoon for us in the water. It's like a playground. That's what Luke said. Like we do it every day. It's part of life. Yeah, learn how to swim and learn how to fish. Like when like you were like uh 4 years old to 6, you already like in the water, know how to swim. And your parents cannot like go and look for you because they know you're at the playground. It's not like, hey, watch out because like the car is gonna hit you or somebody's gonna kidnap you. Yes, and then later on you haul it back to the kennel house. That's what I was trying to do, like forward it, but there's no forward on this one. It's the it's the leader of the family member. Yeah, it's a, and this one is coming from the chief, like the master navigator Teo. He's the paramount chief during that time. And when the project started, this lady came to our island and asked him if we can, this guy, if they can build a canoe for the museum. Vermont chief, yeah, up during that time. He's my uncle, my mom's brother. This was 2012. Yeah. See, they used the charcoal for a marker. We don't even have marker. or pencil. Oh, never mind that. You don't see that. And by carving the canoe, you have to be very careful because all the tools, it's very, very, very sharp. And by like standing on the edge of the canoe or the yeah, it's you have to have balance. Yeah, for now they bring it to the kennel house, and they have to measure it and mark it and carve it. They where the guy mark, that's where you're gonna like carve it. And now it takes the whole island because like it's a big project for this. And even Michael Jordan was there, Chicago Bulls. How long do we work on this one? It's six months. I wasn't really part of this project, but when I took my son on a vacation, and here's the canoe parking lot. Everybody, like coming from the part of the island to. When I took my son to vacation on my island, and they were asking me if I can help them, to translate some of the or organize the group. And now it's even the measurement is very important too. You have to make sure that everything. See the one that like they mark. It's a local made marker. They use the clay. It's a red clay. No laser, no laser. We need that too. Okay, here's the whole crew for the cover. Okay, now it's extraction of the sap. The sap is from the breadfruit tree. You cut it, and then after one day, you come and collect it, and then you massage it in the water, and then after that, you put in this jar, and then you burn it to attach the bark. I mean plank to the hull. See, you can see it. You put the clay. See. Now he's just admiring. Oh, those are buoy. It's almost done. And then now making the rope. You have to husk the coconut as much as you want and then bury it in the sand. This one, like we made it in Saipan. We made this in Saipan before I came here. And then you cover it after 3 months under the sand. Then you dig it back and then you made rope like that. I have some with me. Oh, not here, but and then making the sail. How do I pause this? You cannot pause it, right? Okay, yeah. It's just the same as the Luke's style, where like you use the mat, you woman weave it from the pandanus, and then bring it over, and then men stitch it together. See, that's why like last night I say everything is similar. The Pacific way is just similar. It's just the way it looks, but different look, but similar work. And then now it's finally finished. And all the ropes are made from the coconut fiber. Just disregard that motorboat over there. You don't see it. That's my beautiful island, Poloat. And that's the first tryout. Master Navigator Theo and Master Pilder is in the captain seat. And now they're making the AIMAIM, we call it AIMAIM. That's for the master navigator and the ladies or the kids. They put them under this. Yeah. See, it's just a shape, but we have the same thing. And before, making a long distance voyage, you have to have a ritual ceremony like this one. And right now, like he's bringing back, we're gonna take this canoe to Okinawa, but we first stop. Now he's bringing back, like a cave to the his school representative. And now there's another ritual when, like you're gonna untie your canoe to sail out to the sea. And then that's another ritual again. They call it etiro. You excuse, like your whatever wrong you did on the land before you go out. And that's all I can say. Thank you. I'm gonna give it to my son.
I'll just put this here. Hello, everybody. Well, before I start off, I just want to formally introduce myself. Why am I here? And who am I? So my name is Lolobeyong. That's how we pronounce it in my dad's language. Lolobeyong Valentino Rogopes Benito. And I am the only son. And I'm 20 years old. And I'm also carver and a sailor in training under my dad's teaching. So it's actually pretty hard to be under your dad's teaching because he's going to keep telling you what to do. And you're just like, oh my God. Like, yes, really. So when it comes to navigating, right, and the teachings of the maritime tradition in our culture, it's really strict. So I understand why he's doing that in the first place, because on a canoe, you're not supposed to be laughing or goofing around. Exactly. You have to be serious on the canoe. And like when it comes to sailing, it's like sacred for us. It's mandatory for you to know what you're doing. It's mandatory for everybody to know what they're doing and to be part of the canoe. Like you have to be one with the canoe, basically. So I am over here because I wanted to voice out about our culture and tell you guys about how important it is to us to keep it, preserve it, and make sure that we all hold on to our culture, because who will? Who's going to be the one to step up? Who's going to put their foot down and say that we're losing our culture? Who's going to say that, okay, since we're losing our culture, who's going to stand up and make a change? Who's going to be that one to make the change? So I'm over here because I realized back in Saipan, people my age, even kids that are way younger than me, they don't really know much about their culture. And it's really sad, if I were to say. It's really sad because like when their parents or the elders would ask, who are you? Where you come from? They're just gonna space out. They don't know what to say in the first place. They think hard about it, yet they still don't come up with an answer. And it's just sad because I have a feeling that if we don't make a change now, later on in the future, our culture is gone, including the maritime culture as well. So I'm here so I can speak about it, make a notice, and make sure that it's spread across so people know that this is really important to us in the first place. It's really important because like we have to keep our culture. It's who we are. Like those Hawaiians, they say this is our mana. It's what we feel inside. And so before I start, I just wanted to say thank you guys for all being here today. It really means a lot, especially coming from me and my father, that all of you guys showed up here today to hear about what we're going to speak about, hear what we feel about what's going on back at Saipan and around the world, how even not only us we're losing our culture, but who knows, maybe some other cultures as well, they're losing their culture because of this technology. Technology is like really setting the boundary, and like it's making these kids and people my age not really interested in our culture. So they're too much busy on the phone or Facebook. They're, chatting on Messenger and all that stuff. But they don't realize that, oh, when the elders would ask them, like, okay, if you were to go sail, where would you go sail? And they're going to be like, I don't know how to sail. I don't know what sailing is. Okay, do you at least know how to speak your language, your native tongue? And they're going to just stop and they're like, oh, we have a native tongue. I never knew that. How do we speak our native tongue? Right? So it's just sad. So that's why I'm here to voice it out. Like I said again, I'm here to make sure that all of you guys understand why we're even here in the first place. So thank you all for hearing me out, and let's move on to the next. All right. Wait, how do I do this? Do I just press next? Okay. So, oh, can you? So one of the important things that we do with our nonprofit organization 500 Sail is that we're all working towards reviving and preserving our maritime tradition. And by doing that, we have like wide varieties of sailing activities that also ties in with our culture. And throughout the years, like we've been doing sails around the island, or like we've started building more canoes and showcasing them, make sure that we do like Sunday sales for the community, and it's all for free. And that way we can spread like awareness to the people that, okay, if they want to start learning about like, how to sail, later on they're gonna get interested more about who they are, and they're gonna want to know more about it. So when it comes to this whole 500 sales started off because of our co-founders, Pete and Emma Paris. And we're so thankful for them for doing this in the first place, because they had an idea. They had an idea that, we need more canoes out in our island of Saipan. So in 1742, they had a sketch, and the sketch is actually at the back of my back. This is the model of the canoe. And in 1742, they got this model, and at the same time of that, during colonization of Saipan, they counted up to 500 canoes sailing, flying proas. So that's where we came up with the name 500 sails. And our whole goal is also to make at least 500 sails in the ocean of our Saipan. So it's gonna be a lot of work to us, but we're still working towards that. And so 500 Sails offers like a wide variety of cultural learning, from learning your native tongue, bilingual, learning how to weave, learning how to sail. And also what my dad does in 500 Sail is that we teach kids like up to 6 years old, and even 30 years old, even 50 years old, they can be part of the class of learning how to name the stars, the how to weave coconut, how to sail, where to sail, the wind direction that you have to sail from. So in how do I do this? Oh, so in 500 sail, we had like four trips, actually, four voyages that we went to, and three of them was to our neighboring island in Tinian. I would say that was one of the scariest trips that I had with my dad, because I was also part of my dad's crew. So at the same time, like I'm trying to keep myself, calm, but he's at the side, like he's like, very strict on us, like, you have to do this, you have to do that. And we're just like, okay, okay, okay. And not only that, like, I think because we're right in between our island of Saipan and Tinian, it was really windy. And so the canoe, like, it's like, having a hard time to sail through, but I look in my dad's face and he's just like so calm. He's just like, oh, I've been through this before. And then I look at my cousins and then they're just like, what? This is normal for you? So it's so normal for my dad to be on a sail. And I would say that one of the best sales that we ever had was when we made history in Saipan. And about 400 years ago, uh, they dated back that a person, a sailor, uh, he did a circumnavigation around Saipan. And that's where they collected the data that Saipan is about 14 miles long. So we wanted to do that again. We wanted to go and sail around the island of Saipan. So it took us a long time, but eventually we made it. And to the people of Saipan, when they heard about what we did, about the fact that we made history, like after 400 years, can you imagine that? After 400 years, you finally go and circumnavigate around Saipan. When they finally heard about that, they're like, wow, they're actually making this come true. They're actually doing their part as a 500 Sales, a nonprofit organization. They really did live up to what they say, that they're gonna do the impossible, basically, because back then it was really hard for these people to, how would I say, like it was hard for them to learn about maritime tradition, how to sail, because they did not have any more canoes. They did not have any more canoes. So there was this one guy, his name is Mario, not my dad Mario, but his name is Mario Sakman Borja. See, Luke also knows about him, right? So he was the very, very first person to ever make a Chamorro Sakman canoe. And he made it in San Diego, right? Was that San Diego? Yeah, San Diego. So he was the very first person that opened our vision, opened our co-founder, Pete and Emma's vision that, okay, if he can do it, we can do it. So let's do it. The only thing that is different is that our canoe is made out of fiberglass. Yet, I know it's made out of fiberglass, but still stays very true to our traditional knowledge. What we do with that fiberglass canoe is still, we sail the same way that my dad taught us how to sail traditionally. The only thing that is different is that it's made out of fiberglass. And I would say that at first I wasn't really, considerate that, okay, why is it even made out of fiberglass? But until I started thinking like, okay, it's actually true because we don't have that much trees nowadays, especially back in Saipan. We don't have enough breadfruit trees in Saipan, and they're not the type of size that you can make a canoe out of. And by saying that, I was like, okay, that also made me realize that our island is like, how do I say this? It's starting to become like more advanced. There's more buildings, there's less trees. So we don't really have the resources to make the canoes out of, breadfruit. So we came up with this idea. They came up with this idea that we're gonna adapt. We're gonna make it out of fiberglass. It's a lot of work, especially when you're making out of fiberglass, because you're at the same time you're getting itchy and all that. You're trying to, do all of those stuff. And when you work with fiberglass and you're trying to make a canoe, it's really difficult because I'm still trying to adjust to it. I'll say that I'm still trying to learn how to make a canoe out of fiberglass because there's a lot of things you can deal with, from laminating the panels, infusing the panels, like chemical bondings. Who here works with fiberglass? You? Yeah. So you guys know how it is, man. It's like from sanding the fiberglass, and it's a lot of work, the measuring and all that. So it's really hard. It's really hard back home. But I would say that we're really trying, and we're going to make this possible. We're going to make sure that we're going to live up to what we said. 500 sales, maybe in the next 20 or 30 or 40 years from now on, you're going to see like 500 canoes, 500 flying proas. And that's our goal as a 500 sales community. And in 500 sales, we consider everybody that works in 500 sales family, ohana, right? And in our culture, when we say we're all together, we say tipio. Can you guys say tipio? Tipio. That's the one. You say tipio, that means together as one. And it means that you're family. There are two indigenous people in the Sinamay, and that's the Chamorros and the Carolinians, the Rifalos or Rifanuar. And even though like we have, we're like two different cultures, yet we're still close together. We're all together as one. We're like a family. We have that bond. We make sure that, okay, if my Chamorro brothers and sisters are not doing okay, we go help them. If my Carolinian brothers and sisters are not doing okay, we go help them. Because we're all in the same island and we're all in the same canoe, right? We're all in the same canoe. And if you're in the same canoe, you have to help out each other. Because what's going to happen if you don't help out each other? You're going to sink. And that's for sure, you're going to sink. So that's why I say, Tipio, thank you.
So much, everybody.
Next, I'm gonna show you what do I call it? The Mimi chart or the chart of the one we call it Pafu, means name of the stars, and it's a they call it compass or star compass.
Yes,
Yeah. It's like that. As you can see, you know, like in our in this chart, European or Western, they put the north on top, right? But us, no, we put the east on top, like east, west, north, south. And these are the stars between east to south. And oh,
Just use your finger.
okay.
Or just name, just name them.
I'm sorry, but I did this last night, just trying to like make something for you guys to. I use the bowl, just put in a piece of paper, and then that's why it's not really, there is a missing space. And some of the words is upside down, so bear with me. You can like go like this and then read it right.
Just turn your head upside down and you're gonna see.
Okay, the east star, we call it Mailap. And everything from east, all the stars from east, we call it Tan. Tan Mailap means the star from east. Tolon means west. Tolon means, like setting. Tan means rising. Yeah. And you can see, like the name of the stars is, well, last night I say 7 stars or 9 stars in the east to north and 9 stars east to south. And this is the name of the stars from east to north. Payefeng, Maila Payefeng un Morgar Mel Ugunik Wille Maila Benefeng, Tal Maila Benefeng, 101 and Fusmagut. This 101 and Fusmagut, that's the North Star. We call it 101 and Fusmagut because it cannot move. For us, it doesn't move. Unless, like if you move yourself, if you sail north, then you know that the star is gonna be kind of higher. If you're going south, you know that the star is gonna, you might not see it. And the name of the stars from east to south, same thing. Tan Payer, Tan Eliel, Tan means rising. Harbol, Tumur, Maharu, Up, Metsameh, and 101 Fuhumagut. I mean, Wanawananoop. And then this one is Metsemia, means the star, like almost like tan. And this one, Metsemolodo, yeah, means tan. Lodo means rising. Yeah. And when the star, like is moving, it's rising from like Metsemia, it's rising from there, and then it's setting over here. Tanup, it's rising from east, and then it go down to Tolonup, sitting over here. You're with me? Every single star is this. That's the name, same name that like it's rising and then it's setting. But it's set in the same direction. It starts from up, Tolonup. Metsamya, Metsamolodo. Taitumur, Toloy Tumur. It's just, like Tan and Tolon means, rising and setting. Yeah. And if you're gonna, it's gonna be kind of hard if this to understand. If you're sailing from, like here's your canoe, it's sailing to Taitumur, and then you know that Tolon Möl is your, backside, like your, yeah. And all these stars, we use it in, there's a lot of stars that we use for month. We use for the name of the month. That's the same stars, but it just, like different the way we use it. But this is the star compass. This is the one that we use it. And we know that the real compass that, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say American compass or whose compass is that? The middle one. The European compass. It's a little bit off on what, really, on one star. Yeah. The way we, like look at the star with the compass, and then but we can still use it to, just to guide us. For example, the North Star on the compass, when you look at the one in Fusmago, it's not really, accurate. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit, maybe the compass is going to be on the Tolon Benefang. Oh, okay. Then it's, like it's losing one star. I mean, they're losing one star. Okay. Next is the name of this one is a month. The way we look at it, it's what is Bongen Meloto? The moon, the new moon, it starts from the west. When we see it, when like it's appear from the west. So that's why we call it Bongen Meloto. Every month we go by the month. Month, it's the moon. We go by the moon, not month. We go by the moon. So that's the name, like it's always then from the west, then from the, what am I going to say? Lugay lang. How do you say that, boy? The above. Then from the above, and then from the west. I mean east. It's like it's always like that. It's not like the month that we count. Like sometimes 28. It's leap year or whatever year, and then, you know, like 29, 30, 31. Yeah, us, it just, you know, like same, 30. Because we count the moon. We don't count, you know, like things, but we count the moon. So this is the name, Eling Siguro. Eling means, you know, like new moon. And then Siguro means you already see. Yeah. Okay. Oh, where's the other one? Oh. Okay. The one that I just, yeah, I just said. Oh, okay. Anyway, the for the month we have 13, but two of them, you know, like it's kind of short, and then we just put it together in one month, like January, February, March, April. April is two months in it. The month that we call, you know, like it's the stars. It fall into that month. You guys with me? Yeah. Because, you know, like we count by the stars by when, you know, like it's rise and then when it's set. Every time, you know, like the star rising from the horizon, then that's when we count it. And then even though, you know, like you don't see it when it's, or you don't see it in the morning, but you see some stars in the evening, you already know which stars is already up in the morning. Any question? Yes. One, two, three. Eling siguro meseling mesan mesafi mesawal mesediw emetal epay. This is not a star. Yeah, you don't see it the star because, you know, like yes, yes, but it starts from the west because the moon, you know, like it started, you know, like we saw the moon, you know, like the new moon from the west. Yeah, the middle is full moon. This is when, you know, like it's full moon. Empire. Like Arobugu, Olobue, Olomai, Empire. Yes.
Moon calendar and can you tell us how the moon calendar and the stars correlate?
The moon, we used to use it for rainy season, and but it's combined with the star because, you know, like when the star is up and the you can just say, okay, the moon is up again, the new moon, and you know that either it's gonna be rain because, you know, like it's meseling, and then Mailap is already rise from the horizon. Then you combine together, and then you know that, okay, today or tomorrow, and then you look at the sunset, and then you can predict, you know, if the weather is good or not. That's how they predict the weather in my understanding.
So let me rephrase it, if I can, to prove to myself that I understand what you're saying. Let's say astronomically taking, the year the year as it is set by the stars, but the division to the months, which is not equal and which is much easier for practical use per day, is the moon. So the months are by moon, and they are not really correlated with the year in the meaning, but the differences you notice between the moon, which is moving around, an astronomical year, and these coincidences tells you, these differences tells you what will the characteristic of weather will be in the specific moment of the year. So two systems which interfere, if I'm
I don't
trying
know.
to understand that. Sorry.
Even me, I'm trying to understand what are you trying to, like, I'm not, like really good in scientific name, astronomist or whatever.
But,
I'm sorry.
Maybe again, the year as we mean it is defined by the stars. Yeah, and the stars are making the year, really. Yeah, because the Earth is turning around the sun, and the stars are always the same through the year. But the moon is turning around the Earth, so it's let's say not synchronized with the year itself. So it turns around, and months are moving around according to what we can see with the stars. So it's not every month or every year exactly the same, because every year it's different a little bit. The moon or the month starts in a different star set slightly, and the next year the same month starts in a different star set. That's what I mean. They are not completely synchronized, and this differences tells you the weather pattern is like that or different or whatsoever from what you learn from your history.
Yes, I think I don't know if I can answer correctly, but I think, like from before compared to right now, I don't know if about the climate change, but now it's kind of different, like this era of time for us. What we learned from our ancestor before, they say, okay, this month is if I can like put up that, like I can say more about that. But when they say this month is row, that's those fighting stars, because like fighting stars always, like in summer it comes, but then suddenly it just like dark and rainy, and then now it's not like that anymore. I don't know if because like of that or the climate change. I don't know if Mimi can.
What I understand, maybe there are 10 moons, 10 named moons, yeah, and they don't change. That's and it's like in old Hawaii, 10. There's 10 moons, and I think maybe in Taumako before. So what you're talking about, Mario, is that things are slipping in their relationship between the moons and the stars.
Yeah, you always, like for us, we always compare them together to use as a kite.
Yeah. So that's the system is not of slipping. In other words, the system is not that there's a difference between the year and the months. No, but the weather is slipping. And so that's what's out of sync. I think
So.
is what you're saying. But the system of 10 months, that means, do those 10 months fill up the entire year? Are there 10 moons in the year, every year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always the same that, yeah. Okay. So what happens in those moons with the weather is what's changing.
Thank you.
We have a bit of a running order. Is that directly to that point? Wann Sie was anderes? Hold on.
Sorry, my bad. It's not, I'm supporting Mimi's talk as well in this, as well as the brothers on the stage. It's a response in trying to combine something that's very square, very linear with a label into something that is multi-dimensional, you know? And that's where the challenge is. And that's where Mimi was like, it's very challenging to impede that together in a westernized concept. The words, we still need to be, I guess, more, what's the word, eloquent in terminology so that it is understood in a Western concept.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Mario and Mimi and Fanny, for taking the time, because it's hard, right? It's hard. And what would help me grapple with that would be to understand better what you were, I think, trying to show us on the next slide, maybe about April. And if not, just because April is my birth month also. But what is it about that month? What makes that one special? How can it combine, and what does it do?
It's just because, you know, like it's a little bit short, you know, the season, you know, like it's short, you know, like in our and back home we have only 2 seasons. One we call it Lefang, and then one we call it Lerek. It means, you know, like the harvest time and the you know, when there is no fruits. Yeah. Yeah, April is, you know, like combine 2 stars together, because, you know, like we call it, we count those month by stars, you know, like January, February, March, but we count it by stars.
Okay, we take more questions.
Thank you very much, Lolo, for your reality check, because all these traditional canoes, they're very nice to look at, but they're things for museums. There are things like horse carriages. If you ask any Pacific Islander, would you like a canoe or an outboard motor? There's no choice. They always take the outboard motor. So what you are doing is showing us a future of combining canoe sailing with fiberglass. Maybe that's a canoe that one person can pull on the beach, and you don't need 20 muscled people to pull it on the beach. And you can use it every day. You don't have to cover it. It's something for the future. And the second thing you showed us is that sailing is fun.
It is.
Sailing is something for, you know, how many people have left Puluwat? So it's for them. If they're in Saipan, if they're in Guam, they can enjoy it. And then maybe it is a tool to bring them back.
Oh, yes.
And your dad will tell them, don't use leeward and seaward, use the Puluwat words.
Yeah.
And use the commands in your language. So thanks very much. I'm more hopeful, more optimistic now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But Mario, you wanted to? No.
Yes, thank you very much too. I'm really impressed from your work. It's I'm really close to tears to see how hard you are working and striving to bring and keep all this knowledge. And so my question is very special maybe. What about the Pleiades? the eyes of God, you know, the star system. I don't know if my pronunciation in English is right, you know, which appears in the sky and brings all these festivities to some of your islands. And so I would love to hear what you know about it in a very short cut. Thank you very, very much. And if it has an impact on your sailing. Yes.
It's like the rise and the setting. Well, Maila is really important because, you know, like that's where, you know, like where you can tell east and west. And the North Star, it can. Yeah, Maila, it's really important because, you know, like you know your east and west, and then when we're in Humboldt, you know, south and north. And by knowing that, you know where, you know, like you're going. I don't know if I answer your question, but maybe you're talking about the like Orions, you know, like the stars that there is.
The seven cities, the seven that come up. It's maybe not my list. 7 stars that come up for.
What again?
Yeah.
It's like there is a lot of. It's like the little Tabor, or.
Yes. No. They come up for fruit season.
There you go.
Planting or harvest. Of course, comes up and goes down.
Yeah. Let me see that.
One thing that I could suggest is, because Anya and I will talk about the Pleiades at length in the afternoon, and then we can get, and we will show them in the stars, and then we get your expertise to comment then, because then we see them and we can talk about them.
Yes.
And we
yes,
take other questions
yes.
now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Oh.
wait.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can we take it one at a time, please?
Sorry. Okay, so it's just a question about the fiberglass canoes, which are really cool. I was just wondering, is there like built-in air compartments so they won't sink? And secondly, do you do like trials where you actually capsize it or flood it and then get it back up again?
Yeah, there is no compartment yet, but because, you know, like we just use the sketch that, you know, like it's in the drawing. That was what year is that? The what?
1742.
Yeah. Still, but we haven't improved that yet. I think we're planning to improve it. You know, put the whatever compartment to put supplies, or every time, you know, like we go sail around the island or go to sail to the neighboring island, we always use the what's that? Those kind of bag that, you know, like the tri bag.
Yeah.
But me, I use the
Special bucket.
the biscuit pocket, because, you know, like it's better than the tri bag.
That's actually the navigator's bucket. If you go to Paloat, even Teo, Master Navigator Teo, he has like his own makeshift bucket. So he's actually trying to replicate that.
I have the question about the discrepancy between the two boats. First, I saw, as I understand, your boat from Puluat is a perfectly traditional, well-functioning design. and then this new 500 sales fiberglass type is based on this Anson drawing from
Yes,
the
Anson.
18th century.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the drawing has been made from a French guy, which was a member of the Anson crew, and they made the design.
Yeah,
with
the design was straight up
with the straight mast.
Yeah, straight mast.
And then the design was made. The fiberglass boat was designed with a straight mast, which is contrary to every traditional design with the pivot mast. So why didn't they take the perfect design from the Puluwat canoe and instead made this, I don't know,
the mast like
this wrong mast position?
Well, I think it's because the fact that they didn't really have more details about how the canoe works, how the canoe actually operates. So just by looking at the sketch alone, they think that it's proper to just follow the sketch by how it looks. So the reason why, like you were saying,
they didn't talk to any real sailor before making this design.
Yeah, so we're actually like, we thought about that. Like, why is it like straight up? Why is it not like angled at a like this? So we had like that talk with our co-founders, Pete and Emma Perez, and like, I think it's because like they just want to follow up. They just want to follow how the design looks. We tried to convince them otherwise, but just because I think that they're like they're based off on how the sketch looks like, so they don't want to do any changes to it. And to them, like, they think that if we do any changes, then it's not really following how the proa looks like actually. So that's why. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. We tried, but sooner or later they're gonna come to an agreement with us that, okay, you guys are actually right, because one thing, if the mast is straight, right, and you're gonna shunt, like you're gonna take the sail and put it to the other side, it's easier when it's angled because it's up. And if it's straight, the thing is like ours, the sail that we make for the Chamorro flying proa is pretty big. It's the same size as how you saw in the sketch. The thing about is that you have to drag it underwater in order for you to put it to the other side. And can you imagine how those people sailed back then in those rough seas? How are you able to shunt in a rough sea? Are you able to like manually hold it by hand and like drag it underwater while the waves are like crashing into you? It's hard. But if it's angled, then it's easier for you to just grab onto it. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go into further, research about how does the proa actually work, so we can have a better understanding on what we're gonna do with it, how it properly works out. Yeah, thank you.
I have one additional support for what you're saying, which is that Pete and Emma Perez, especially Emma, is constantly trying to get support, funding. And the people that she applied for funding for years, trying to get anything started for start building Vaka canoes.
Yeah, canoes.
Only could understand the Anson drawing. They couldn't understand what the traditional, that's how they got on that path.
Yeah.
It's not what anybody wants necessarily to continue with.
Thank you, Miri.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just one second. We have two more people, and then we need a closer discussion. We have more, but just to follow up on this, just let me share with you the experience that we had when on Tuesday we went to the Bootskubus here in the house with the delegation, and Mario and Benito are not up to talk about the Marshall Islander wallop that is in the Cubus, because Mario says it's not his camel. it's a different tradition. But the first thing that everybody said who knew anything about sailing is it's assembled with a straight mast, and it doesn't sail like that.
Yeah.
So they also model on the Anson drawing basically the assembly of the wallop in the cubus. The mast needs to tilt, and the front needs to be straight up. So and same goes for the Te Alo, which is misassembled in all sorts of ways. So it's important to have that knowledge here in Berlin and to also bring it to this particular space. We have time for 2 brief questions. Keep them brief, please, because we have a pretty tight lunch break. Yeah.
Any questions for me?
You have to fight over who's gonna. I like the questions. You have it.
Mario, do you use the same names for the winds?
No. You're talking about the stars? Yeah, some of the the stars we use, but not all of this. Some of the stars, like it's not in this chart. Some of them like Mylap and then Tumur, Herbal. Yeah, we use yeah.
Okay, one question about fiberglass canoes. Do you build them stiff like the European way, or do you build them flexible like the Polynesian way?
We actually do it flexible way because we have. Continue.
Okay, and another question. I saw one picture with the upright sail like Taumako, but your upper line is straight. You connect the upper corners with a straight line, and in Taumako they make this bow. And is there a discussion between you and Taumako which sail is better?
Both sail are better. Maybe it's better
Both
in there,
sail.
like where they are, because they're far away from the equator, and then mine is better in my place. Right, Luke?
All I gotta say is, if we do a race, then that's the only way we can find out, right? Thank you everybody
think
for your guys'
We're
questions.
done. Join us in, one more, final one.
Oh, one more?
So
Okay.
a little bit corner maybe, because there were questions about the fiberglass, and once we are away from the traditional technology, and once we are away for the reason, which is we want a canoe which looks for the sponsors the same as they can see, but it can be more effective. For example, can be much lighter for children to take it out or whatsoever. Are you open for changing technology? A little bit.
A little bit.
I will ask you.
I will
tell you why.
Just sprinkle a little bit inside.
Now we are trying to find out how to build effective Vaka in a skin-on-frame technology, which is you make a frame inside, which is very light, and cover it with the skin of kind of cloth. And it's about 3 times lighter than fiberglass. But we are going to test it, how it works for Pro.
Yeah. I think, since, we're a new non-profit organization, we're still trying to improve our canoes, because, we just follow the sketch, and now we're improving it to, the way we think, it's going to be good for sailing or, long distance sail. But we're trying our best. Pete and Emma, they're, especially Pete, because, he's the, boat builder. Emma is just, doing the paperwork. Yeah. But we try to, improve. Sometimes, we know that, oh, this one is not work, it doesn't work on this canoe, so let's change it from the print.
Thank you, Mario and Lolo. Thank you for all of this. I think all the discussions will need to continue over the break. I don't know if you get a break from now on, now that everybody knows, but join me in thanking the two of you for this beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.